Let's try it out. Yeah, we'll give it a whirl.
Just put it right on the table.
We'll even announce.
Put something over it so it doesn't spin.
We'll announce that we have a microphone on the table.
I got you. Hold on.
Oh.
Hexang is not going to improve.
No. Now we're just screwed. Disclaimer: 2 beer bottles are used for holding a microphone up.
Welcome to A Comic Book Look, your weekly TV show on comic books and anything relating to comics and the comic book culture around it. We are your #1 comic guys, John, Tom. We can't wait to talk about more comic-related stuff with you guys this week. I'm sure you guys noticed last time we have a cameraman as well. So we're trying a lot of different things. You know, we want to hear your feedback, so get with us on how that's going. But this is going to be issue 22.
Yeah.
And this week we had a great request by Ed, our listener that we've,
been with us since day one.
Exactly. Ed's the man. Yeah. We've said it multiple times.
We appreciate you.
He had an idea of doing event comics. We kind of addressed event comics in our first episode, but nobody wants to watch that anyway. So let's readdress it and, what we think about event comics, what event comics are, to probably a person that didn't know. And I think that's what we'll probably, be covering for most of the show.
Yep. Absolutely. It's kind of an overview of event comics, just to kind of get familiar. If you're not on there, if you're a newer reader on there, event comics kind of spans over, it'll take over a couple of books, and some events, that's the understatement of the century, it takes over every single book, i.e. Marvel primarily. Blackest Night was pretty big though too in DC, but it takes over and it drives the consumer to want to buy other titles because it has the same matching heading at the top, and you want to get the most optimal storytelling experience. But you'll find that not every issue is needed, as I learned with Dark Reign.
I was going to say, I think you learned the hard way, because I think you went into comics going, I love that banner on top. I
love it. And, Karoo's going to make fun of me again, but Dark Reign, it was a creepy font, kind of dark. Got it hanging on my wall now in that big frame that we'll have to show you sometime. But
when we do the show at your house, we'll see that.
We're going to do a show at my house. We will. I'm totally okay with that.
Okay.
But basically, it's an event. They want to tell a story that brings together all the different characters, in a said universe, or different teams and so forth on there. So, and they're various sizes on there. They're not all huge, but lately, to me, it's been a whole lot of hoopla and I'm kind of looking forward to some downtime.
Yeah, definitely.
A little character development.
I think people who are regular comic readers are always going to be looking for that downtime, because they're not worried about events as much as they want to hear good comic stories. Now, does that transition to sales? I don't think so, because what events do is they get the industry really hyped up. They get comic nerds really hyped up, and they throw a lot of things out there. This is the end of the world. Someone is gonna die, and that all evolves around these events that Marvel and DC have. I would say mostly it's always Marvel and DC. Image has tried and failed miserably with Image United. It was a crossover event that they were gonna have in their books, and it made it to 1, maybe 2 issues. And it was an idea that they had where they were going to take all these creators that started Image, and they were going to pass pencils, papers around, and every creator was going to draw their own person on the page. So, the Todd McFarlane would draw Spawn, and then he had to send it to Eric Larson, who would draw Savage Dragon, and then he'd have to send it to Rob Liefeld to draw Wildcats, or probably Jim Lee to draw Wildcats, and Youngblood for Rob Liefeld, and it just failed miserably. Everybody knew it was going to. So I think we can stick with it and say that DC and Marvel are the only places where event comics really happen on a regular basis. And are they good? Are they bad? you know, that who's to know.
It's a case-by-case basis,
Yeah.
too, just based on the quality and the timing, too. I mean, there's just...
Yeah. I mostly say they're bad.
Yeah.
Because what they do is, maybe the main story of, let's take, if for example, DC did Blackest Night. Huge for them. It was a really kind of a cool story. It was, it got a lot of people reading DC Comics, and it was basically a zombie story in the DC world. So, I mean, that's cool. Zombies are big. But what happened was it tied in, I would say, I think Blackest Night was 8 issues, 7 or 8, 9 issues,
The
somewhere
core
around
story,
there.
yeah.
The core story, Blackest Night. And I would say the main core story took place in Green Lantern, Blackest Night, and Green Lantern Corps, so you basically had to read all those.
Yep.
Then it has title upon title. Blackest Night Batman, Blackest Night Wonder Woman, Blackest Night Superman, Blackest Night Doom Patrol, Blackest Night this, that. I mean, just like tons of Blackest Night stuff that if you're the completist and you have to get everything, this is where these event comics really become kind of shady operations, because it is almost like a cash grab that they put Blackest Night on everything, so that person that's collecting Blackest Night thinks they need to buy all these books when they could probably read the main story and be just fine. They end up buying all these other books, and in turn, down the line, get bitter that they have all these comics that they're never going to want to read again. You know, as much as John loved Dark Reign when it was coming out, and he bought every single comic. John wasn't reading really comics before it came out, and you know, he started reading comics, saw that Dark Reign, and it gets it going. You know, and that's how, you know, I would say it can be a good thing. Now John reads regular comics on a regular basis, and he doesn't go for all the shit titles that he used to.
Yeah.
I didn't. mean to say
It's just, you know, the spin-offs, they were cool and all, you know, like the little additions, like I was getting like the Skrull Hunters or whatever that nonsense was, and I only got a couple issues. I just, you know, couldn't get into it, and it started around that point. I was telling Tom, you know, big whoop-de-doo. You know, in Dark Reign, they had some cool stuff, like the individual alliance for the Dark Avengers, Sinister Spider-Man, Hawkeye. Those were cool. I still enjoy those. I love rereading those just because it's fun to me. And yes, I root for the bad guy. But I enjoy that. But I completely agree with Tom, because like when you get into like Elektra, the 5-issue run, who cares? Unless you're an Elektra fan, then that's cool, you know, and definitely go for it. That's like me, anything Alpha Flight, I'm going to get it. You know, anything Thunderbolts, I'm all over it, you know. So if you're an Elektra fan, that's cool. I wasn't, and I bought it just because of that stupid banner at the top, you know. Yeah. Lethal Legion, I got 1 and 2 of 3 of that, and I don't know any of the characters, you know. I mean, I know them, but I just don't care, you know. So it's just, a lot of why did I, you know, but that's just when I first started getting back into the book, so.
You know, but that's what I kind of think the positive side is. I mean, it brought you into comics. Maybe for the regular comic reader and for the industry, it's probably not the best thing, but it does sometimes bring in readers, so there is a good side of event comics. Yeah. I think a lot of times, events, though, the industry relies on them. So Marvel and DC are always looking to promote their next event. They're constantly trying to tell you what they have coming out, what's going to be coming out. You know, you watch this, you have to read these books. You know, you have to buy 2 books, you have to buy 3 books. And, you know, they're just constantly trying to do that. Where I feel, you know, if you're a solid company, you care for your fans, your long-term fans, give them those stories. You could do Civil War in Captain America's book. You could do Secret Invasion in the Iron Man book. You could do House of M just in regular Uncanny X-Men. And these are all comics that they could have just continued on, let people continue with their runs that they're having in their comics, tell these great stories that they have ideas for, but instead they have to make this giant deal, make you still buy that Uncanny X-Men and that Iron Man, and then you have to buy Secret Invasion as well, because it has everybody in it, and it matters. That's like the big thing, and continuity for comic book fans is like crazy. You know, the history of comics is something that holds so important that they always feel in these events something is going to change the history. You know, a character is going to change where he's never going to be the same. No, nothing's ever going to be the same. That's like the #1 slogan for every event comic. And so, you know, in those respects, I'm saying again, and John, I told you you have to tell me, and I can't believe none of you guys have commented that I don't say way too much. Because it pisses me off how much I say it. I just sound like I'm such a Midwesterner.
Don't you know?
But, I said it again. These comics, though, they're important for the industry, but they bring the industry down a little bit, as in, trying to cash grab fans. So that's why I feel, as a comic purist, and as I like indie titles and things like that, I hate event comics. I said it again. I tried to read Fear Itself. That's the first time that I've been able to grow up in my reading ability and say, I started this series. I don't like this series. My old Tom Devine is saying, so you have to finish it. You bought the first 4. What are you not going to finish the miniseries? How are you going to put it in your long box? It's going to have 3 missing. That doesn't make sense. Well, I stepped up and said, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to finish it. Didn't even finish it. I got to my books on a regular basis and didn't even notice. Yeah. That's why I say it so much,
They probably would.
It drives me crazy. I know, but it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Huck saying, this is for you. Check comments on the last thread if you don't know why.
But, I completely do agree. If you guys remember episode 1, and if you don't remember episode 1, go watch it. Just, my spending habits for comics, have completely changed. I used to be Marvel junkie, and now I'm picky. They always save me issues of X-23 and Wolverine, the normal book, and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I'm not reading that anymore. Actually, I kind of fell off the bandwagon a couple issues ago. Quality just isn't there, and honestly, who cares? If I missed an issue of something, I don't know if I'd really care. You know what I mean? Yep. It depends on the line, but there's just some that I just don't.
And that's what I think.
Care,
Yeah, I think
because you read enough online, and in terms of people's reactions and stuff, and the synopsis of it and everything. I don't know. I just don't feel as compelled to get the whole event, or even if I missed an issue or something, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me.
And it isn't, because they cover everything you really should know in the main title, and if they don't, well, screw it. Then you shouldn't be buying it.
Exactly.
But that's where we're becoming the bitter person.
In terms of being oversold,
oversold to we want to buy comics. We want to go to the store and be excited for the next event. If you're going to keep on giving us all these shit tie-ins, then it makes us not excited. It makes us bitter. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to be that fan, but that's where it comes to when it comes to event comics. Yeah. And so event comics have been around for a long time. It's nothing new. I mean, it is the thing that these publishers do to make money. DC has a long legacy of the Crisis books. That's the big books that are always big game changers for them. They had, Infinite Crisis on multiple Earths, and then Countdown to Crisis, Final Crisis, just our Infinite Crisis, and then regular Crisis on Infinite or multiple dimensions. I don't know. So many different ones. And that's kind of like their thing for where they do it. They involve every single one of the superheroes in the DC world and bring them all together in a way that they have to either work together to fight a big bad. And that's kind of where it started back in the day. Marvel also started doing those. I think the biggest one for Marvel was in the late 80s was Secret Wars, where they had an event that took place while all the other comics were taking place, but Secret Wars comics had a whole different timeline going on where they're in a different dimension. But at this time, it's not interrupting the other books. Right. It's not tying in all the other books. These are just regular events. And so it gets to the point where they start doing the banners. I think this is probably the 90s when they start doing that. What's the Maximum Carnage?
That was a good one. I like Carnage.
What's the girlfriend's name?
What? Oh, Shriek.
Shriek. Oh, God. Oh, that's such a funny issue. I read all those from Kessinger's. Yeah. That's how I read that.
Yeah, no, I think that's how I read those too. That's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of, it's funny because I actually kind of enjoy some of those older ones from what I've read anyways from Marvel. And I'm just reading a little Inferno right now on there with the Goblin Queen, and so that's kind of cool.
Exactly. I mean, some of those old X-Men ones are. I mean, Age of Apocalypse is awesome. It's one of the coolest crossovers ever. Yeah. So much that Rick Remender's bringing it into the current books right now. Yeah. He's writing Uncanny X-Force, and they're bringing in Age of Apocalypse, which was, an event from way back in the day. And the events, they still do hold, not for the most part, but they're still, different creators bring them in and tie them in. One of my favorites that I mentioned in the first show, I do have a favorite event, is Batman's No Man Land. And I thought it was really cool. It's basically Escape from New York, Batman style. They just fence off Gotham, nobody in, nobody out. Chaos ensues, and it's kind of just ends up being a really kind of cool story for what does happen. And I like that. I like that crossover, and that was in the late '90s, and it was really cool. And it made me read other books, and I got into different things. And at that time, being a young reader where I wasn't reading a lot of things, it was nice to have. Yeah. And so, yeah, there are some times that those events hit home with you, and you like them, and you bring them out. But, I mean, we can run a list of, every single event that has been played for, like, the last 20 years. I mean, it would scroll forever. I mean, there's an event. It seems like at Marvel right now, there's always at least 2 events going on. Yeah. Because they have all the different worlds at Marvel, Hulk World, regular Marvel Avengers World, X-Men World, Daredevil, Spider-Man Street World. They can fit 2 events usually going on at all times throughout these different things. So if you're an event follower, I mean, you're constantly buying crappy books. Yeah. Where you could just buy Thunderbolts, which is probably on the verge of being canceled. Nobody is buying it, John.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
X-23 got canceled. Yeah. Dawkins got canceled. Yeah. Both are selling more copies than Thunderbolts.
Why would they cancel Thunderbolts?
They can't cancel Thunderbolts. Exactly.
Why isn't it? Why do you think it's not selling?
Because it probably doesn't tie into all these different things. It's not. It's about villains, but it's not a dark book
like it used to be.
It's a superhero fun book. Funny things are happening. Yeah. Yes, they're bad and they're on the bad side, but it's not like it's dark. It's not like they're constantly, thinking being real emotional. It's jump to it, old style comic booking, where you've had a creator on for now over probably 25 issues, Jeff Parker, and he's dominating, and he cares about the characters, and so he takes every chance to make it good. Where that kind of thing that happens in Thunderbolts and X Factor, people just don't buy it. People just...
That kind of surprises me. The earlier issues are in such demand. I mean, I was at a comic shop out in St. Louis. God, don't get me going. But I need 1 issue of Thunderbolts, and I'm like, I think it's like 111 or something. Oh, sorry, sir, our backstock just actually starts at 116. What? Like, what kind of place is this? And then
because they had a guy like you go and buy 101 through 150.
I bought mine online. And then, I was talking to the clerk, and we did this episode on what makes a good comic book store, and this is my pet peeve. I'm like, so, we're doing the show online, no reaction. And I'm like, well, what shows do you watch? I mean, is there anything that you would recommend? Oh, I really don't. So what you're telling me is that you're selling something that you don't know too much about, and you're not really passionate about your job, and you're not really good at helping customers. It's kind of, and that's what it comes to me. It was just a bad experience. The owner is super nice. It was just that particular guy. He was just kind of a Debbie, and I was so excited to be there. I walked in, I'm like, hey guys, I don't know you at all, and I'm just going to talk to you. I'm like, how's this week going? What's selling? What's not? Do you got these books for me? Like, I know what I want. I'm probably the most verbal customer you've ever encountered.
Because it's fun to go into a new comic shop.
It is, and the owner was cool. He just had to go in the back and do some work. I wish he was out there to talk to, but yeah, I was just kind of turning it off. Anyways. Sorry.
Yeah, he had to go into the back room to do some work. He was like, oh, God, here's one of these guys coming
in. Well, he was on the computer. And then they also had a Captain America shield back there.
Nice. Yeah, like our owner, John, at Rainbow Comics, Sioux Falls, he's the man, and he seriously has the coolest, widest range of comic book shirts ever. Like, some days he'll just be wearing, like, a pristine t-shirt from 1982, like, Batman shirt, and it's like, that is so awesome. Right. He's like, yeah, you gotta wash them inside out, that's the secret. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's cool.
You heard it first here at Comic Book Club.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ed, we covered event comics.
Yeah, I mean that's there's so many to talk about, that you can talk about. So many to rag on, so many to praise. We're not going to do
overall,
that. That's just our take.
The take on event comics, that's what we have, and that's what they are. They're a huge thing in the industry. So at least we did address them. We did an issue on them now, and I'm sure there'll be different big events that will come along. We'll do events or shows
that
just
are worthwhile. Hopefully,
yeah. Maybe the new sanction. Nope. Anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? We'll see how that
goes. I don't know.
Goes.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Well, just some miscellaneous odds and ends news. I was actually talking with Celeste earlier today. She has the Days of Future Past trade that she got, and she was like, yo, yeah, Alpha Flight's in there. Like, what? So Alpha Flight's in there, and she shows me this picture. Snowbird is in the form of a polar bear, and she creeps up on Nightcrawler, and he's like, his hair is all standing up, and he's like, oh my god, and the next pane, he's in Wolverine's arms, like, oh my god. And Snowbird's like, did I frighten you, X-Men?
Oh, that is awesome.
And, yeah, I could totally want to read that, So
definitely.
She's going to let me borrow it when she's done, but yeah, the Alpha Flight cameo, so that made my day.
Nice, so of course, it always does. You love your Alpha Flight.
Gotta salute the Maple Leafs, No, I love Alpha Flight, you guys
definitely.
Cool.
A book, I guess, a book that I'd like to bring up, a new book that is coming out, Shade. Shade is a villain in the DCU, has been around since, I want to even say the 1940s. So he's been a really old villain in the DCU, and the reason he's famous is because he is on Starman. Starman was a kind of really cool thing that happened in comics from DC. During the 1990s, a lot of garbage comics are coming out, and at this time, James Robinson and Tony Harris, two well-known creators in the comics industry, don't create, but they create a new Starman, and James Robinson, you can tell, is just a huge fan of the golden age of comics. And he ties all these different things with the JSA and makes this really long overall stretching arc built around Opal City, where Starman lives, and Starman. And it's considered, just a classic. It's so good. I love it personally. And Shade is the main protagonist, if you could call him that, in the book. And I fell in love so much with Starman, and I fell in love with Opal City as much as I love Starman, I would say. Opal City is just like another city in the DCU, Gotham City or, Central City, but it's Opal City, and Opal is where Starman is, and it is almost like a retro kind of feeling, and if you have the writer doing a good job, it almost plays its own character like Gotham can do so well. Yeah. And so you want to go back there, but James Robinson, after he completed this, nothing really happens with Opal or with Starman. Jack has a baby, and he's not a superhero anymore, and he ended his run. It's been years. People keep on telling him to go back, but he doesn't do it because he wants to keep his original idea awesome. Well, they found different ways of getting in and him writing new things. And the first one was during Blackest Night. They had one more issue of all these comics that got canceled maybe too early, and it was Starman 81. And Starman 81 was about Shade. And so it was almost like James Robinson kind of just telling you what Shade's up to these days. There's a very prominent family in Opal City that has been police officers, good and bad, I guess. But they're prominent characters in Opal City, always close to the Jack and Shade. And Shade is with is the sister of the family, and they're an item now. And James Robinson has found his way to not ruin Starman, but to go back to these characters and this city and be able to see what we love again. He's been able to get Tony Harris to do the covers. He has a whole cast of artists that are just excited to work in Opal City and be a part of this crew. They have the Michael character of Starman, which is a blue guy, and then all the other characters that are around Opal. And there's some really, really cool characters, and we'll throw some up. But it just means so much to me. And now I was just, cruising VeteranMediaJunkies.com, my favorite place for, comic-related talk and shit. And Jose, the guy that's running it, throws out a rumor that Shade may be canceled before the miniseries is even finished because of sales. I was like jaw-dropping, so flabbergasted, pissed off. If that's true, I mean, it's just... DC has had everything going for them. They've been doing this new 52 right, and then all of a sudden this happens. And it hasn't been announced yet officially, but the rumor is that Shade's going to be canceled. And this is a series that is special. It holds the heart of a lot of different fans. It's not involved in all this other garbage, and it's a legacy kind of series that you don't get very often. And this is what they're going to cancel, but you can have other nonsense.
400 Batman books.
Yeah, but this is what you're going to cancel. But Red Lanterns is still going. And, that's just the industry, and the publishers. They have the best characters. They have the rights for them. And, damn it, they just cannot control them well enough if it's all about the bottom line. It's not about good stories. It's all about the bottom line. And, I understand, they have shareholders. They're... big companies, but still, look out for your fans. I feel like it's almost like a pay it forward. If they just paid it forward and, had Shade, continue on and did different things like this, like they used to do with Elseworlds and stuff, it ends up, the fans like it more, you get more fans, it builds up a different way than what it builds up like Event Comics builds up. So that's just my news with Shade, and a little background about how much I love Starman, and then to see this happen, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah.
Tommy's a sad face.
He is a sad face, pal. Alright, well, speaking of things that are close to our hearts really, really, really quick, we got our exclusive monthly Dark Avengers Progress Report. Insert the echo sound effect. New Avengers number 19. Picture Spider-Man, kind of Passion of the Christ-esque, just, getting his ass kicked. I went up to Gabe and I was like, "Hey, Gabe, guess what? Amazing Spider-Man is over per this cover." So, and Gabe was like, he was, leaning in like, "Really?" And then I pull out the book and he's like, "Shut up." So, yeah, no. All in all, it's all good. It's all good. This is
Passion of the Christ.
See that?
I know that is very passionate.
It's very passionate. All in all, this book didn't really do anything for me. This particular issue until the end, when the Dark Avengers go and save the world, and the Avengers show up, and Norman's twist in the media and so forth. But my main thing is with Dark Reign, how is he going to recover media-wise? So
how is he going to cover? How did he get to the part of Dark Reign, John? Don't even say that.
But this is so recent.
He is the Green Goblin. Everybody knows he's the Green Goblin, and they wanted to vote him president. Or did they vote him president?
Not director of security or whatever Tony Stark was. But, so, anyways, I'd give that one a 2 out of 10. That particular issue. There was no Dark Avengers in it. It was all politics, and you know how I feel about those. So, anyways,
you need your Dark Avengers.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give that some shine really quick. It wasn't a lot, though.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm just gonna run through we got a little bit of time left, so I'm just gonna run through it. This is new pickup day. We haven't really read through it, but I'm just gonna go through my books and what I'm gonna like. First one, Batwoman. I'm super excited. Of course, J.H. Williams is always bringing out the best art. Maybe the story isn't the same without Rucka, but I'm not gonna let it say that it's slagging yet because the art is just legendary. It's stuff of legend. The next is Walking Dead. Pretty excited right here with Michonne on the cover and Rick in the background. You can see zombies on the sword, so it's going to be hopefully an action-packed issue. Unwritten, I've been talking about it before. It just continues to get better and better. It hopefully will end up being a Vertigo classic run. Severed, the new, Scott Snyder. If you look at our creator issue, I even put him on my top creators of all time list, and he's super new still. But this is another great horror book that he co-wrote with somebody else, and it continues to be really good and suspenseful and have kind of interesting twists. Shield, Hickman, big ideas, bringing in history, all the greatest parts of history, and it continues to shine. I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to get through it. And, because those come out every 2 months, it kind of sucks sometimes because, the last issue, remember, was, no dialogue. It was a silent issue where that is probably really powerful, and I thought it was cool. I'm excited to get back and see what's going to happen next. And then the last one I'm just going to throw out on a whim and give kudos to Dark Horse. The Strain, it says Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan, so I'm assuming, those are filmmakers, so I'm assuming this is going to be a movie. But I bought it because we're constantly looking at trying to find how you get readers. How do you get readers into comics? Well, a great way is to have a #1 issue, have a kind of cool cover on it, with a bunch of crazy zombies and one sane guy in there, and then have it be $1. And so, #1 issue, $1. I hadn't heard, I did not hear any hype about this. I did not read an article about it. Didn't know anything. I'm going through the new comics at Rainbow. I see it, $1. I go, shit, I'm gonna buy it. It's $1. Why wouldn't I buy it? I'm gonna waste $1 somewhere along the lines. Way worse than buying this comic that I'm gonna have forever now. Or you can give it to somebody else, or if somebody likes the movie, then they're gonna want to read it. I don't know. It's just thank you, Dark Horse, for doing that. And but that was my buy pile today. As you can see, I did drop off quite a few DC books. I didn't even buy Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
So you're big on that one.
Yeah, and I did like it, but I only have so much money. It's Christmas time, and I'm really, really finding the benefits of indie books over the big two. And so that's why, out of this book, I guess I'm still Batwoman. I still got Batwoman #4 up there.
There you go.
But
yeah, I got some books too, but we'll probably go over that stuff next week a little bit after I have a chance to read them. So
yeah, those are all just my preview. So
cool.
All right, man. Well, this is another great episode of Comic Book Look, and we thank you again for coming back.
Yep, definitely keep checking us out. Send that feedback. Let us know what you think. Get at Skylar if you got any suggestions or whatever. We think he's doing a good job on the 1s and 2s. I like to say that because we got 2 cameras. Sweet.
You wish. I wish we had a real DJ on the 1s and 2s. But thank you. Check us. Send us. Ideas, questions, comments, concerns. Unless it's about our drinking habits. To a comicbooklook@gmail.com. Post comments on our YouTube section. Come back, check it often. People are always talking back and forth, so you got to come back to check out your comments. And we appreciate all you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Keep it comic.